vinyl community. I've been inspired by the vinyl community on YouTube recently, particularly channels like Audiophile Laws and Baraka P-Dub. And I've been meaning to make my own channel contribution to the community for a long time now. I tried to sit down and film a VC introduction video a couple times now, and it never really panned out. I didn't really end up uploading anything, but this time I'm kind of committed to starting a channel as an outlet to talk about records and audio. First off, let me introduce myself. My name is Michael, and I'm a classical musician. I play the oboe, which, if you aren't familiar with classical music, it's a high woodwind instrument. Obviously, that means I listen to a fair amount of classical music, but I also listen to lots of punk and various punk subgroupings, like a lot of 90s screamo, some of the more experimental stuff, post-hardcore. I listen to a lot of jazz, especially recently I've been getting really into jazz. Classic rock, of course, some metal, and other kinds of music too. But just to give you an idea of what kind of stuff I'll be talking about here, I'll try to keep it as eclectic but also as general as possible. I'm not going to get too specific on you because I know it's a wide range of genres I just listed, and I don't want to alienate anyone by being too specific. I'm also really passionate about high-end audio, so this channel will kind of be an outlet to talk about sound quality, especially in different pressings, about stereo equipment, and about active listening. One of the great things I think about vinyl is that it's a totally different type of listening than with a lot of other mediums of sound reproduction, especially digital, especially MP3s, which I'm sure you all are as vehemently opposed to as I am. And I thought I would use this introduction video, besides to introduce myself, but to also talk about my setup. I have two stereo systems. One is here in my apartment with me in Montreal, where I'm a graduate student here at McGill. And I have another setup that is shared with my family back home in Texas. The system in Texas is kind of a more serious audiophile setup. The one here is much more modest. However, I still think it's very fine sounding, so why don't I give you a tour? All right, VC, this is my apartment setup. You see ye old listening couch over here. So let's just start with what everyone's interested in, which is the turntable. So my turntable here is a pro-ject debut carbon, but it's a little different than the stock debut carbon, which many of you I'm sure are familiar with. For those that don't know, the debut carbon is kind of the starting point for a lot of people getting into vinyl. It's really one of the cheapest turntable options out there that's also extremely high quality and can kind of give you a taste of what makes analog and what makes vinyl so good. If you go too much below the pro-ject, you get either tables that will of course damage your records, or tables that really won't show you what vinyl can do. The sound quality won't be anything special, and you won't really understand the appeal of the format, I feel like. So the pro-ject really represents a sweet spot. However, I've upgraded this quite a bit. This was my first turntable, and I've had it for a while now, and I've managed to do some pretty heavy upgrades. The first one, obviously, I've replaced the stock platter with the optional acrylic platter. It tightens up the sound quite a bit. The standard Ortofon 2M red that comes with it is instead a 2M blue. You just change out the needle. You don't actually have to change the cartridge body. And I've upgraded it with a power supply, which is the pro-ject speed box. It allows the changing of the speed via the flick of a button, and it also improves the sound quality greatly. So it's a pretty heavily upgraded table at this point. The other source here is one of the first pieces of digital equipment that I've ever really enjoyed. It's the Oppo BDP 105D. It is an all-purpose, kind of all-encompassing Blu-ray player, SACD player, music streamer, media player, kind of all-in-one audiophile Swiss Army knife. The sound quality on this thing is absolutely incredible. I highly recommend it if anyone's looking for a kind of all-purpose digital player. I mainly bought it because it's able to be a media streamer, so I can hook up my hard drive, my 3 terabyte hard drive with all my music and movies on it, and just stream everything right off of that and kind of use it as a computer player. but also it's a fantastic SACD player. And those of you who are familiar with SACDs know there aren't that many affordable options out there for an SACD player. There aren't that many SACD players out there, period. And because I listen to classical, I've amassed a fair amount of SACDs over the years, just by nature of buying classical music. I wasn't even trying to buy particularly SACDs, and so having an SACD player was really nice. But also having a really good quality DAC is also great because the majority of my record collection is in Texas. This is everything I have in Montreal, which it's a fair amount of records there. I'm not running out of things to listen to, but with this I can keep my entire digital music library in one place. So my favorite records may be in Texas, but I can still listen to the albums in a high quality format. Usually CD quality FLAC, or in some cases high res, 9624 or 19624. I can listen to them on this, and it sounds incredible because it's got two 32-bit Sabre DACs in it, which are really, really excellent digital audio converters. Moving along to the amplification for everything. This is a old, I think this came out in 1981, Sansui AU-D9 integrated amplifier. It's been fully restored by Austin Stereo. I think I bought this for like $80 at an estate sale, but it was in a large state of disrepair, as these old amps often are. And so I had it fully restored by Mike at Austin Stereo, and he did a fantastic job with it, and it sounds amazing. It's a very neutral sounding amplifier. It doesn't accentuate anything like a lot of the old amplifiers tend to. It was billed as an audiophile amplifier back in the day, and I think it still holds up quite well. It even has a moving coil option on the phono preamp, which I was really impressed with because in 1981 moving coil cartridges were not a big thing, so it makes it stand out as kind of a specialty amplifier back in the day. It's 95 watts per channel of a very clear sound, very pure sound, and I think it's a great bargain. I'm glad I stumbled onto it. And I should mention all the cabling is entry-level AudioQuest cabling. It's just the basic. I think I have Golden Gate interconnects and the X2 speaker wire, the kind that you can clip yourself. But it's better than Monster cable. I also have some headphones here. I have the Philips Fidelio X2. Which I'm really enjoying at the moment. I just got those recently, and I've had these AKGs forever. These are AKG K612s. A little more neutral than the Philips Fidelio. The Philips Fidelio are kind of a more rockin' headphone, but I think they're both great. They both do different things. It's kind of nice to have some contrast once in a while. And last but not least are the speakers. These are Kef's Q300 speakers. Great little pair of speakers for the money. They're not horribly expensive. They can be had for less than $500 US if you know where to look. And they do a lot of the technology in Kef's upper end speakers has kind of trickled down to these. You'll notice they use a single UniQ driver, which is something that Kef introduced in their upper end models, and it's famous in the Kef LS50, which are a fantastic but relatively expensive pair of mini monitors. And these are not expensive, and they use the same UniQ driver technology, albeit in a different context. But the imaging on these speakers is incredibly good for how little they cost, and I think they're very fine sounding, especially the bass output. I'm always really shocked at the bass output of these, because you wouldn't. I had a friend over one time, and they asked, where's the subwoofer? I think we were listening to Pink Floyd, and the bass was shaking the room, and it was very relatively firm and taut bass. It wasn't that disgusting, flabby, inaccurate bass that sometimes you get with cheaper speakers. So overall, I'm very happy with them, and this isn't the world's most expensive setup for analog, but it makes me very happy, and I think it's perfect for it's perfect for a small apartment like this. So thank you for joining me. Ooh, almost forgot this little thing over here. Always clean your records, even new records you get. I could not live without this. This is a Record Doctor 5 vacuum machine. Every single record that comes into this apartment gets cleaned before it goes on the turntable, used or new. Because records I'll talk about why you should always clean your records in another video. I'd like to do a video on basic record care and kind of an introduction to people who are new to collecting records. So look for that in the future. But for now, I guess I will say goodbye. Thanks, VC.